Tēnā koutou katoa e hōma, kia ora anō. Hey, I hope you're all having another wonderful week. You may recall in our last couple of clips, we talked about covering the sentence structures mā wai e and nā wai I. So here we are, let's get cracking. Nā wai I. For whatever reason, this sentence structure took me twice as long to learn than all the other sentence structures that were being taught at the time. So in my frustration, I walked around the block and I tried to find an everyday sort of occurrence or activity or something that I was seeing in front of me that I could tie back to this sentence structure and therefore cement. Kei roto I te pīnati. And I walked past the fence in the alleyway and I couldn't help but notice it had been torn down or kicked, destroyed, and it really got me annoyed. And I found myself asking the question, who kicked this fence? And I realised that's exactly what we're asking here. What or who did something in the past tense? I, past tense. So I went to maoridictionary.co.nz and I typed in kick and I came up with kiki, te kupu Māori mo kick, kiki, a nice transliteration. Then I looked up te kupu Māori mo fence and I came up with taiapa. So let's try and ask the question, who kicked this fence? Let's see what we come up with. After nā wai, we're going to put the object or the person. In this case, it's the fence or this fence. Tēnei taiapa. Let's stick that in this box here. And after the I, we're going to place the verb or the action. So let's put kiki in there. Now let's read this together and see what we've come up with. Nā wai, tēnei taiapa, I kiki. Of course we've asked a question, so we're going to change our tone and turn it into a question. Once again, nā wai tēnei taiapa, I kiki. Who kicked this fence? So if you're struggling e hoamā with a sentence structure, it worked for me. Take something that really annoys you or something that's going to stick in your brain, an everyday activity or something you've seen, turn it into a sentence structure that you're struggling with, and it's not going to leave your memory, trust me. Let's come up with an answer. How do we answer? Nā wai tēnei taiapa I kiki. Who kicked this fence? Let's head along to that now. Araiti titiru ki tēnā. I've done a bit of a zoom for you. Don't be daunted or put off by this chart. We're only going to concentrate on a small portion of it. It can take months if you're anything like me just to start to get the hang of it. But you get there, that's the main thing. We're just going to look at raiwa and rātou. But you may recall last week we spoke about nāku, nau and nāna. But in that context, we spoke of it in terms of belonging. For example, nāku tēnei puka puka. This book belongs to me. But in this context, to answer our question of who kicked the fence, nāku means I did. No, you did. Nāna, he or she kicked the fence. But what about raiwa? I remember raiwa, the R meaning randoms. Those two randoms over there if I'm looking at you. Or if it's three or more, those three randoms, rātou. So if we were going to say, those two over there kicked the fence, we would answer the question, nā raiwa, tēnei taiapa, I kiki. Kei te pai, all those three rascals over there, nā rātou. You could just say, nā rātou, those three did it. But we're not going to ninjify it, we're going to extend that sentence out and we're going to say nā rātou, tēnei taiapa, I kiki. Kei te pai tēnā. Now the good news is the mā wai e sentence structure, who will do something, future tense or present tense even, you are looking at a sentence structure that is exactly the same. That's rare, so it's awesome, and we're going to get into that right now and compare the two. We're only going to spend a minute on it. Let's get cracking. Let's continue on with our fence example. Bear with me. You continue on walking and you see a nice brand new fence that has just been built. But because you're a bit annoyed, and you're a bit of a negative Nancy, you find yourself asking the question, who will kick this fence? Who will? Future tense. So let's ask the question the same way we asked the Ngāwai question. After the Māwai in here, we're going to place the object or the person, in this case, tēnei taiapa. After the we're going to put the verb or the action word, of course, is kiki. So we're going to ask, Māwai tēnei taiapa kiki. Who will kick this fence? Now let's answer it with a mā So you see two likely lads across the road, and they're prone to this kind of behaviour, and you say, mā tēnei taiapa kiki. Those two over there will kick this fence. Remembering, Ngāwai, who kicked this fence. Māwai, who will kick this fence. Ngā raua, those two did. Mā raua, those two will. Kei te pai? Now, just to finish this off, a practical example that we can use is who will help me? Who will help me? Using the Māwai sentence structure, we would say Māwai au āwhina. Māwai au āwhina. Who will help me? And hopefully you would reply with a māku. Kei te pai tēnā, ka rawe. Just remember hoa mā he waka eke noa. Hei kona, kia pai tō mutunga wiki.